Tom Merrick, Lisa Shanahan, Katie Currier-Small, and Ellen Remsen-Webb. And I'd like all of you to join me in giving them a round of applause. Please stand, guys. Okay, and over here in front of Anna White, you'll see this beautiful water. Yeah, we're worried about the wind. You'll see this beautiful watercolor, and we did extend a really sincere thank you to our classmate Tom Beef. Tom, where are you? There he is. Okay. So Tom has created and generously donated an original watercolor of the green. Come on up and have a look at it later if you like. From which we've created framed limited edition prints for both of tonight's awardees. But also, all future awardees will receive one of these prints. And the way that works is that no one else in the world is going to own any one of these prints other than people who receive this award. So, and thank you very much, Tom. Okay, and very importantly, there are a bunch of you that we want to thank. We took the time and initiative to nominate fellow classmates. We can't do it without the nominations. We received a healthy number of nominations, and all those people are going to remain in consideration for future awards. But it's an ongoing process, and we really encourage you to continue nominating. It's really important. The nomination process plays in this. And if you can, with tonight fresh in your mind, please let us know about a classmate whose career or volunteer work and efforts have been making a difference that maybe people haven't gotten in touch with us about before. Okay, this one is tough. Yeah. All right. So why the Parker Small Class of 1980 Award? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, but it's not my words. We asked our classmate, Parker's very close friend, Martin Burt Bowles, who unfortunately couldn't be with us this weekend, to share some of his memories to help capture that answer. So I'm going to read you what Martin wrote. It's a bit of a reminiscence. So cast your mind back to 1978, to our sophomore summer. On a particular Monday morning, you would have been walking from Thayer to your first class, when you notice on the sidewalk a strange drawing in colored chalk. You're in a rush, so you don't really give it much thought. Until later that afternoon, you notice another chalk drawing in the plaza in front of the hop. This time, as you walk by, you study it. But of course, you forget it again. Until the next day, when several more pictograms are seen around campus, and by dinner time, people at Thayer are talking. Who drew those figures? What do they mean? People start describing them as clues. Next morning, more drawings have appeared. Now everyone is exchanging ideas about the meaning of the incremental details that are added to the design each day. Toward the end of the week, word gets around. It's a party at AD, Saturday. I think a lot of you probably remember this party. Okay, my roommate figured it out. See? Look at that figure in the middle and how it points to those other lines that hide the letters. So that Saturday afternoon, the party was packed. I think you guys might remember this on the lawn. Dancing was everywhere, spilling outside the evening lawn in all directions. On the balcony overlooking the revelry is a classmate with a beer and a satisfied smile. Parker Small, 80s summer social chair, is too tired that afternoon to dance after 5 nights of midnight prowlings and chalk drawings and all the other preparatory work. None of the partygoers looks up to take notice of him. They just enjoy the fruits of his creative dedication. Its creative dedication to bring good to others without seeking or obtaining recognition is what we will be recognizing tonight as we present the Parker Small Class of 1980 Award. Parker did not do things for the limelight. Some of you may never have even heard of him, but every one of us has been deeply touched by his gifts. Remember those Class of 80 slideshows that we took our parents to see? First on Freshman Parents Weekend, and then again at graduation. The soundtracks of singing by our classmates, from the Dartmouth airs, and voiceover interviews of dozens of our classmates telling stories about both poignant and comical, accompanied by a kaleidoscope of Dartmouth's seasons and festivals, 4 years of daily life on campus. Now remember this, he did it using 1970s technology. So these slideshows took Parker countless hours and late nights to produce. There was no academic credit, no stipend, no office-holding title to reward the tireless effort, just sacrifice to give joy and memories to others. Parker was always focused on others, whether you knew him from South Mass Dorm, or LSA in France, as I did, or the outing club, cabin and trail hikes, or AD fraternity, or the rock stretch, or the Daily D sports department, or cask and gauntlet. Your images of him will surely include his face intensely focused on you, while he listened to what you had to say, asking questions about you, smiling at your good news, laughing boisterously at your stories, or comforting your sorrows, or just exclaiming, interesting. If you told him something that you were learning, especially if it was about science. Parker went on from Dartmouth to get an MBA at a familiar New England business school in Cambridge, Massachusetts. He embarked on an investment banking career that was unfortunately cut short at the age of 31 when he was thrown across his desk by a grand mal seizure, and an operable brain tumor brought his promising business career to an abrupt end. But it did not end his life of service. As a stay-at-home dad, Parker took on intense interest in his children's education. He resurrected his Dartmouth Rocks knowledge to guest lecture in school science classes. His enthusiasm and humor made him so popular, he was asked to return again and again to teach other science subjects, and then began leading field trips. Parker's popularity with students led them to nickname him Mr. Science. He became such a wealthy celebrity that when advancing infirmity finally forced Parker into a second retirement, the Boston Globe ran a farewell feature story. As he had at Dartmouth, Parker made contributions outside the classroom. The changing demographics of Wellesley put the school system in financial peril. Parker began to work on ballot initiatives for adequate funding. Then he started recruiting candidates for the school board who would fight for better education. He soon became the go-to expert for campaign canvassing and the mastermind of messaging. Over more than a dozen years, he engineered an unbroken string of upset election victories for schools. Although authentic charity begins with people close to us, Parker's greatest love is for his wife and fellow classmate, Katie, and their children, Maggie and Luke, and they love him back. Their love never dimmed, only grew, and in 21 years of fighting cancer, Parker never complained, neither did Katie or the kids. Giving joy in extraordinary ways that few would likely note, that is the essence of the life of our classmate, Parker Small. Not doing things to maximize accolades, let alone money, or pleasure, or ease, but because his conscience felt a need. That led Parker to do things that were almost path-breaking, never having been done before, or in that way, or by his kind. And in his memory, we now inaugurate an award to honor classmates who likewise have worked sacrificially to benefit others and whose impact has been extraordinary. So those are Bert's words, and I think they get to the essence of why we're doing this in Parker's name. So, I'll read you the description of the award for those of you who haven't been inundated with it during this year. And so here we go. The Parker Small Class of 1980 Award. The Parker Small Award recognizes members of Dartmouth College Class of 1980 who have worked for the greater good, whether professionally or as a volunteer. While Dartmouth's spell on us remains, the Parker Small Award is intended to recognize activities in and about the wider world outside of Hanover, rather than Dartmouth activities and philanthropy or Class of 1980 contributions. The award will be given to classmates whose work, whether professional or volunteer, one, made a significant impact in their community or field of endeavor. By significant impact may include incremental change, as well as change more broadly felt. Or 2, advocated for or advanced social justice in areas including, by way of example, equal rights, anti-poverty, hunger elimination, peace, or anti-violence. Or targeted efforts to benefit humanity in fields such as the environment, education, or health. Or inspired others with their example of servant leadership, or expanded the body of human knowledge. For this award, priority will be given to classmates who have worked quietly without previous recognition. Persons who have been elsewhere acknowledged may also merit selection for the Parker Small Award, so that the class of 1980 can additionally express its affirmation and gratitude. So I'd like to call our outgoing class presidents, Cammie and Brian, to come up and make the award presentation. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. I have the honor of sharing these words of the committee with you and introducing the first of our 2 recipients this evening, the Class of '80 Parker Small Award, Dr. Susan Ball. Susan Ball has been an AIDS doctor since 1992. After medical school and residency, Susan went to New York to earn a master's in public health. She planned to work overseas in underserved communities. But in the capital city of the world, the underserved were all around her. Susan had eyes to see them, ears to listen to their stories, and a heart brave enough to be their doctor. Susan accepted a position at the newly organized AIDS unit at New York Hospital, Cornell Medical Center, and she's been there ever since. Susan's patients are the poorest of the poor and the sickest of the sick. Her patients are a drug-using Hispanic man who lives in a shelter, or a welfare-dependent single mother of 4 who lives in a subsidized 2-bedroom, 6th-floor walk-up. All of her patients have HIV, and in the early years, many of them died. Already living at the margins, Susan's patients were harshly isolated with the stigma that attached to AIDS in the early years of the epidemic. Even in the hospital, surgeons looked for reasons not to operate on AIDS patients. One in those early days stood up in her grand rounds and said, "These people get what they deserve." The word AIDS conjured up image in those days of promiscuous homosexuals and heroin addicts. Today, given the advances in HIV treatment, Susan's work is less focused on dying patients in the hospital and more concentrated on talking to patients about properly taking their medications. For people whose lives have never had a consistent routine, sticking to a discipline is a challenge. Susan works on finding the line between respecting patients' independence and educating them on the importance of treatment. Susan's patients are people. People like you and us. Brave, depraved, entitled, admirable, amazing, strange, funny, daring, gifted, exasperating, wonderful, and sad. In response to the question, lesson learned, in our 25th reunion book, Susan answered, "I didn't fit the mold." Perhaps it was her sense of other that gave Susan the vision to see the unseen, the ears to hear the unheard, and the courage to serve the outcast. The class of '80 is grateful that Dr. Susan Ball is one of us. With admiration, we are proud to claim her as our own, to share her story, and to recognize her with the inaugural presentation of the Parker A. Small Class of 1980 Award. Susan.
So over in the back. so much. This is an incredible honor for me, and I'm really very honored. And in talking to Parker's friends in the last couple of weeks, I realized what a really remarkable person he was, and it makes me sad to accept this award, because the best thing would be if Parker were here with us. 35 years ago, if anyone had told me that what my life would be like, or that I'd be here and be living the way I do and doing the things I do, I would have said you were spending way too much time in the basement of Alpha Chi. You know, I thought I'd be, I don't know, driving a station wagon with wood paneling with a dog in the back and a guitar, and have 6 children and play a lot of golf. But instead, I grew up in a small town in upstate New York, and instead I live in New York City with a woman. I have 2 great sons, 2 boys. We have 2 boys. And their biological father is my ex-French boyfriend. And I spend my days taking care of people who are among the most stigmatized and shunned and often dying people. Dying from an illness that didn't even exist when I was jitterbugging with Fred St. Gore, or sipping beer in plastic cups with Tench at SIU. And how I got here, and how I got on this path, and what did Dartmouth do to get me on this path, I would say Dartmouth offered me unlimited opportunities and great support to pursue knowledge and experiences and excellence. And beyond the academics of the school, I traveled all over the place and had amazing experiences abroad. And I rowed for 4 years and learned through rowing the imperative of teamwork and what it feels like to work so hard at something you taste blood in your throat. But what that exquisite feeling is when the boat is moving well and the water's very still and black. And friends, right? Friends, so many friends here who I didn't really get to spend enough time with or get to know well enough, but other friends who over the years we've been separated by miles and years, and still when you just see them, that bond is so strong. And Dartmouth gave that to me. And in my work, I do take care of some of the poorest of the poor and some of the most unimaginably sick people that there are. And to be recognized by you for this work that I do is really so moving to me. And yet, here there are 1,000 in our class, and so many people have done so many amazing things. To have this award from you is really so moving, and I'm really very tremendously grateful and honored. Thank you so much.
Ronald Chen has pursued his lifelong passion for social advocacy in his native state of New Jersey and as our classmate in Hanover, New Hampshire. Ron credits Dartmouth for introducing him to the value of diversity and the importance of community. After Hanover, Ron attended Rutgers University Law School and traces his pursuit of public interest law to the social inequities that he witnessed firsthand as a law student in Newark, New Jersey during the 1980s. Although Ron started his legal career as an attorney with Kravitz, Swain and Moore in New York, he quickly realized that a traditional law career was not for him, and so immersed himself in public interest law. For the last 25 years, Ron has achieved an impressive record of serving public causes. He was a member of New Jersey Governor Corzine's cabinet and was an advocate for a wide variety of causes, including rights for elderly citizens, rights for the disabled, voters' rights, eminent domain reform, affordable housing, childhood lead poisoning prevention, deinstitutionalization of people with developmental disabilities, and affordable energy. Wow, Ron, you are amazing. Ron chaired the governor's Blue Ribbon Advisory Panel on Immigration Policy. He continues to be an active member of the National Board of the American Civil Liberties Union. He was named 2007 Lawyer of the Year by the New Jersey Law Journal. And Ron is currently the Dean of Rutgers University Law School. From our Dartmouth days, we remember Ron for his intelligence and his humility, traits that have contributed to his impressive career in public service. So in recognition of his substantial positive impact on the lives of those in need, we are proud to present Ronald Chen with the Parker A. Small Class of 1980 Award. Ron, if you come forward, that would be.
Geez, thank you all. Since I'm standing between you and these clouds, I'll try to be very, very brief. First, let me also say that it is a great honor, especially, to be receiving the inaugural Parker Small Award. These reunions are not quite the same without Parker's slideshows chronicling all our classmates' progress through life. And more importantly, we all remember the way that Parker addressed life's challenges with such an attitude of positivity and an attitude of service to others. So it is a great honor to be remembered through his name. It is also, I must say, one of my, for me, unexpected but most genuinely felt honors to be honored by you, my Dartmouth classmates. I will admit, when we left here 35 years ago, I wasn't really sure I made too much of an impression on the class. Academically, I was a chemistry major. I actually finished the chemistry major, but as I recalled to Professor Ditchfield at the chemistry open house yesterday, I was not really the greatest chemistry major. My lab partner, Ed McNerney, there remembers the time that we worked on the acetylene experiment night, and it was a lot of data, and we had to churn a lot of numbers, but in the end, all we had to come up with is a number, which was the carbon-carbon bond length of the acetylene molecule. And try as I could, I kept on coming up with 3 meters. And I was recounting this to Professor Ditchfield yesterday, and his recall, actually he remembered this with increasing horror, but he was very relieved when I told him what I did now. Law school dean, and realized that whatever his feelings was, it couldn't have any immediate impact. I mean, academically, I pale in comparison to a lot of the achievements I know that all of you had when you left here. You did get better in law school for various reasons, but I really felt honored when we left here to be amongst you all. I only recently learned now that Bill Goodspeed wrote a book about me. I don't believe it when he says it wasn't based about me. I did go, as I told Bill, I went to the bookstore this morning, and it is true, it's not there. I looked in the fiction, I looked in the humor, I looked in the children's section. But they finally gave me the ability, gave me the address of the publisher, and the publisher says as soon as the mimeograph machine is fixed, they'll get me a copy. So on behalf, Bill, of all the other 75 million Chens in the world, we look forward to the sequel. I was asked, what is it about Dartmouth that led me to my current career path? And as was mentioned, a lot of it is embodying the word community. When we came here almost 40 years ago, this was really, for many of us, the first community that we're members of that we really chose. And we chose it probably with the assistance of our parents. But that's a really important choice for us, that we were a self-chosen community that came here, linked in age, but also in our affiliation with Dartmouth, with this great place. And that has always stuck with me, being part of something that is collectively greater than yourself. And I think going forward, when I left here, and it was quite a transition. Right now I'm the dean of a law school, which Dartmouth doesn't have, in an urban area, which despite the cosmopolitan atmosphere that Hanover has taken on in the last 35 years, it's not quite Newark, believe me. In a big major Big Ten university as opposed to the small Ivy League college, which we still like to describe Dartmouth as. So it didn't seem as if there was an immediate correlation, but I come back to that sense of community. We have all now joined lots of other communities, some of them defined by voluntary affiliation, some of them defined by common challenges. It could be a disability, physical, intellectual, disability by cultural disadvantage. And I've come to realize that those communities, just as much as ours, deserve support, self-strength, and when needed, advocacy, which is what I've tried somewhat to do in the last 35 years. But still, I always come back to thinking about this community. And every 5 years, just sitting around here talking to everyone these last 2 days and realizing that there are so many people who are deserving of this award. The presentation yesterday afternoon with Andy and Mike and what they're doing in their respective communities. And I know, talking to all of you, each of you has a story as well as how you've taken the strength of the community that we all learned here and tried to project it forth in your own community. So I will humbly accept this award, but on behalf of all of you, and congratulate all of us for the work that we are all doing in our own communities to advance social justice. Thank you.
Okay, so that's a wrap. That concludes tonight's dinner. The committee, and I know the executive committee of the class as well, really hope this signifies the start of an important piece of the class of 1980's history and legacy at Dartmouth College. And so I'm supposed to encourage you all to head to the green, or on the green, and then back to the tent afterwards. So good night, thanks.